Hey everyone, it's Aesah, and welcome to my video for the most positioning dependent units in set 15. Interestingly enough, all of these are reprints of previous units that were very positioning dependent, so let's go ahead and get into it. Sivir is extremely important depending on where you position her. She can easily be doing 3 times, even 4 times as much damage. For those of you who remember set 12, 2 cost Ari, she's most similar to that. So I'll go ahead and show a few clips, but basically you want the enemy to wrap around your front line. Sivir will target a unit up here, and then their melee units will wrap, and you can hit up to 4 units. So I'm just going to go ahead and play a few examples. One thing to note is on the right side, if you use the middle here, you could actually get wrapped by the rightmost unit. So you could either prevent this by shifting your entire board one to the right, or using the left side. Oftentimes it's okay. Here I do have a Gunblade and a Wit's End for some healing, but even against a 2-star Viego with Duelist, my Sivir is able to take it and hit 4 units here. Ideally, you're not trying to get wrapped, but here, like, it's not even that bad. If you get wrapped by a tank that doesn't have a CC ability, it's actually kind of good because it's just not going to kill your Sivir. So yeah, once again in this fight, we can see our Sivers hitting 4 units. One last fight example here. I scout and see most of my opponents are on the right side, so I'm still on the right side. Again, you can use this on the left as well. So you can see, even though my opponent has kind of a position like this, where they're not, even in the front row, all of these units will still wrap around my Malphite in this situation. And once again, Sivir's first cast hitting 4 units. So really big difference. I see a lot of people just play their Sivir in the corner, which is kind of like the default intuitive way to position your main carry. But yeah, if you're hitting 4 units instead of 1, that's a really big difference that can obviously help you win or lose a fight. So Sivir, I'm just going to use this Malphite here. So the position I was showing before was like this. Again, if they have a unit in the far right, it will aggro onto your Sivir, so you have to be a little careful. You want to be on your opponent's side with more tanks. So let's say your opponent has a board like this. They're going to wrap this way. Your Sivir is targeting the unit right in front of her, so she's actually not going to hit that much. So against a opponent position like this, you'll want Sivir to throw her boomerang to the left of Malphite. And here you'll be hitting 3 units. That's why by default I prefer the right side, because you could hit 4 units, as you saw. It doesn't happen every time, but even 3 fights in a row at stage 4, I use it there. It's pretty effective. And if you're worried about getting wrapped, you could go over here. In this case, you would only hit 3 units again, but again, hitting 3 units is really impactful compared to hitting 1 unit. It can easily win or lose you the fight if your Sivir is positioned properly. You do have to be careful of your other melee units. Notice when I was using the right side wrap, I placed my Shen, who I had on my board, over here in the corner, so he doesn't interfere with this. If you have a Shen over here, basically what will happen is like this will walk, this will walk, this will walk, right? And then maybe something like this happens, your Sivir only hits 2. So keep in mind that your other units are not blocking it. The second most important unit to position in set, I guess these aren't in any order. Honestly, I think this next one is probably the #1 most important unit to position, and it's Jarvan. Jarvan is actually an exact reprint of the set 9 Demacia Jarvan for anyone who played set 9. But I actually had an old video. So basically, Jarvan can jump up to 3 hexes away, 1, 2, 3, and he will hit in a 2 hex AoE. So anything that's 1, 2 hexes around him will get stunned. So a lot of people like to put their Jarvan in the middle because he can actually reach either quarter from here. So 1, 2, 3. If you want to jump right side, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 hexes. So he would hit like kind of yeah. If you're following my mouse cursor, he would kind of hit like this circle if he jumped to this spot right here. So I'll show a clip that I have of anti-Jarvan positioning. This is against Marcel P. So Marcel P, he does put his Jarvan on the correct side, kind of here, targeting his enemy's carries. But because of his opponent's Syndra right here in the middle, Jarvan will always jump towards the middle. And the reason is because Jarvan hits the largest clip. So let's go ahead and play the clip and see what happens. And you can see that both of our opponent's important carries are not stunned at all. So It's really, really important to position around Jarvan. Basically, in every single TFT set, there's always a 4-cost AoE CC tank, and if you get your carry stunned, that is very, very, very frequently the difference between winning or losing the fight. Um, so the most common thing you want to do, I'll use like Yumi's as our important backline units and Ezreal's as our unimportant backline units, and for frontline, I'll just throw in some Leonas. Doesn't matter too much. So basically, the way you want to bait the Jarvan is have one of your backliners make the biggest clump along with your front line. So, for example, you could do something like this. Now, no matter where your opponent places their Jarvan, if it's in the middle, even if it's all the way over here, you can see what's going to happen is the Jarvan is going to walk to one of these hexes. Let's say it walks up here. It can jump 3 hexes, and it's targeting the largest clump of units. So in this case, the largest clump, I guess this layout actually has to be here. This for sure works. So the largest clump will be right here, right? Because let's say it tries to hit your carries over here. This would only hit 4 total units. Again, 2 hexes away, 2 hexes. This one's too far, so it would hit 4 total units if it were to jump here. But a lot of times what will happen is it'll walk up. It can jump 3 hexes away, so it can jump here, hit your entire front line, plus your 1 backline bait unit. In fact, you can even have an important unit over here in the corner. So basically, Jarvan will always jump here, hit your front line as well as your 1 bait unit. So it's hitting 5 units, which is kind of baiting the Jarvan into the largest club. And you don't care that much if your front line is stunned. Frontline units gain most of their mana from taking damage rather than auto-attacking. So if they're stunned, it's not that big of a difference. It can suck if they get stunned right before they cast and then die before they cast, but that's just something that could happen. It's not that common, and it's a lot less impactful than getting your carry stunned, which wants full uptime on their attacks. If you want to use the other corner, you could do something similar. Probably position like this. Even if they have their Jarvan right in front of your units, they'll walk up here. It can't target your backline. Oh, this Ezreal needs to be over here. So basically, if it jumps here, it can only hit 4 units. So instead, Jarvan can jump 3 hexes, 1, 2, 3. You'll instead choose to jump here and hit all 5 of these units. So once again, stunning only your Ezreal, who you don't really care about. This is an unimportant unit, and you don't care that much that stuns your front line. So yeah, very, very, very important to not let your units get hit by Jarvan. If your opponent is not playing around this properly, a lot of people just like Jarvan in the middle because, as we saw from our previous screenshot here, or this is not a screenshot, sorry, our previous image, Jarvan in the middle, if our opponent is not positioned correctly, can still stun their clumped carries in either side. So as a default, you can put Jarvan in the middle, but positioning against Jarvan is very, very, very important to bait it away from your carry. It's actually like pretty easy to do as well, compared to Sejuani from last set. The next unit that is very important to position around is Akali. For those of you who play set 14, just a previous set that's maybe more fresh on your mind. Very similar to Zed from the previous set, Akali targets the farthest unit from 4 hexes away. So I have one more clip to show here. This is from Broseph, where he places his Akali and kind of again, if you played last set, this is a very common positioning. The reason is most people will put their most important carry in the corner, and this is 4 hexes away. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see that Akali's first jump will go on the rise here, which is very, very important. Basically, the way these fights play out is kind of only fast enough. It even tracks it through the, even keeps it marked through the hourglass, which I didn't know that's how that worked, but that's good to know. But the way these fights play out, basically the first unit killed might be assassinated in like a timely manner, but even the second unit targeted very frequently is not going to make the difference. So very, very important that you hit your opponent's primary carry with your first Akali dash. I'll just use Yumi's, Ezreal's, and Leona's again. So Leona's will be frontliners. Yumi's will be important carries, and Ezreal's will be like kind of unimportant carries. Note that if your opponent's position something like this is actually a 50-50 who they target here. There's not that great of way to avoid that if your opponent's doing this, but oftentimes they might try to like clump their carries together, something like this. And then in this case, your corner unit is always the furthest away. 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes. So yeah, very important if your opponent's on the other side. You would want your Akali right here. Again, if they have a unit here, this is a 50-50. There's not that many great ways to avoid it. If they have two important carries, I guess if your opponent has exactly this positioning, you could do your Akali here. Does this work? 1, 2, 3. The problem with this is sometimes it dashes across front line. I think in this case, yeah, these are the same distance. So this would still be a 50-50 here or here. So generally you want to use either this spot or this spot. Because here, even if you target the edge roll, you're at least seeing a backliner as opposed to going across front line here. But yeah, again, not everyone will just have a unit here. So if there's not a unit here, this always hits their corner carry, which again is most players' most important unit. So very, very important. Positioning against Akali, you could just, if your opponent is kind of like just using the default positioning, you could just do something like this, where your opponent, Akali, will always hit one of your weaker units first. They can obviously counter this by maybe swapping over here, where it'll always hit the Shumi. But oftentimes, you kind of don't want to compromise your positioning this way against other players. So one thing you can do if you're playing against an Akali, let's do it from our perspective. Again, most opponents will put it either here or here. So one thing you can do is put your tanks something like this. So basically, again, here or here are the most important spots. And then you'll have, sorry, this setup is to have your carry in the right corner. So basically, no matter what, the enemy Akali, they're usually going to have another frontliner here. So let's just take, I'll just give them poppies or something. Basically, what will happen here is Akali walks up here, and now this is no longer the furthest 4 hexes away. These units over here are further away. So, yeah, you could do something like this. If it walks up this way, same thing. These units are further away. Let me just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. This edge roll might need to be here. Either way, you can try this exact positioning. Will keep your Yumi safe against enemy Akali. That's going to wrap it up on this video for the top 3 most important units to position around. These, again, are all reprints, but this is a good reminder for anyone who probably forgot or didn't play those sets. If you have any comments or questions, let me know in the Discord, and thanks for watching.